All right, folks, welcome into this latest edition of Three Dog Thursday on the Winning Cures Everything platforms. I am the somewhat competent host, TJ Rives. And by the way, we're also on the Three Dog Thursday podcast feed as well. Gary Seeger's not able to be with us, and he's got a really good excuse. He's got Tropical Storm Francine bearing down on the Mid-South and the Memphis area where he is in and around that area. It has blasted up the Gulf South, Louisiana, Mississippi, and now up towards Memphis. So Gary wanted to be here, especially when he won with a couple of underdogs last week. Instead, he's not. Instead, I go to the bullpen for my right-hander, my wingman, Jason Powers. I love his insight from the Powers on Sports podcast and also a frequent contributor on the Press Box radio show Monday through Friday. Brother Powers is a Tampa Bay brother from another mother. Good to have you. I know you love picking underdogs like I do. Welcome to Three Dog Thursday, week number 3 of college football. How are you?
Yep, I'm in a tropical setting myself at a restaurant overlooking the water here in Tampa. So
I love it. Truth be told, I found Powers not 15 minutes, but about 45 minutes before we were doing this live on Winning Cures. He's like, I'm up for it. Underdogs, I'm in. And then I find out he's there. You don't have a drink with an umbrella, though. For those that are only hearing us on the pod feed. Again, thank you for finding us. Gary's platform is great. Winning Cures Everything, winningcureseverything.com. We love that. And then the Three Dog Thursday podcast feed on Apple, Spreaker, Spotify, wherever you get pods. Love it. We love talking college football. We love talking underdogs. I'm ready to get into it with you in just a moment. We've got to get your reaction as this day is unfolded. The Pac-12's back, baby, because I'm going to be talking about Oregon State. And they and Washington State are back, and they're back with other schools. What's your reaction to them adding Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Fresno State out of the Mountain West? What do you make of this? The Pac-12 is going to try to get back to at least 6 or 8 teams here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the natural move. I mean, they knew they were going to try to do something here. I think they probably need to get to 10. And even if they get to 10, I'm not sure they even get a Power 5 bid. I know that's what they're going to want is a free entry into the playoff. Not sure they get that, but we will see what teams end up with on the West Coast.
Strange times, because who had that on the bingo card in the middle of the week, the third week of the season, that, the Pac-12, which appeared to be dead and was the Pac-2, is now back. All right, let's roll up the sleeves. Here's what we do. We predict underdogs simply against the spread. The Thursday lines, we use our friends, at BetUS. For the lines, if the line goes up or down after Thursday, it's what it is here. I mean, we're just going with what you would lock it in at on Thursday on this program. I know you want to begin with the prominent game involving Alabama at Wisconsin. What a huge out-of-conference matchup for the SEC and the Big Ten 2 weeks in a row. It worked well for Texas at Michigan last week. I know that the hard way. I lost that on Three Dog Thursday. Now this is the Fox Big Noon kickoff game, again involving a Big Ten team and involving Alabama. You like Wisconsin and the 16 points for Three Dog Thursday. Why against Alabama?
I don't think they can win the game, but I think with that atmosphere, with it being the first road game under Kalen DeBoer, new set of guys traveling, that's going to be a madhouse. We know what Madison is on a game day. That place is going to be jumping. 16 is a lot of points. Again, I had USF last week plus 31. In Tuscaloosa, and USF played them really well for 3.5 quarters. I just think this is an environment. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think Wisconsin's going to be able to score a bunch of points. If Tyler Van Dyke can play like he did at Miami a couple years ago in moments, I think they can keep this game close. I think it's a defensive game. Fickell's a defensive coach. Alabama had a bunch of offensive line issues last week. Now they're on the road where noise is a factor. I just think 16's too many. I think Alabama wins the game, maybe an 8 to 10 point game, but I think 16's too many. Give me Wisconsin and the 16.
Loud environment at Camp Randall. Jalen Milroe got to be tested in that. Again, he's been tested in the SEC. And you bring up a great point. If you only looked at the score of the Alabama USF game, Jason, that was a 21-16 game with like 10 minutes left. And it ends up being a 3-touchdown victory for Alabama. Let's see if Whiskey keeps it closer. Again, it's on Fox Sports. National TV as an early.
I like the under. Keep it under. I like the under.
Low scoring. He'll take Wisconsin and more than 2 touchdowns for Three Dog Thursday purposes. That's the voice of Jason Powers. Find him at JPO Sports on social media, Powers on Sports Podcast. Again, we're live on Thursday on the Winning Cures Everything platform, Gary's platform, with underdogs. Gary not able to be with us, but we weren't going to come strong with underdogs here today. All right, let's continue. Speaking of this Pac-12 mayhem, I'm going to go right to the Civil War. They don't want to call it the Civil War anymore. Oregon State hosting Oregon. Help me, please. Oregon barely wins their first 2 games with Idaho at home and Boise State at home, and now they're giving 16 points at Oregon State. I know Gary and his colleagues, Kyle and Parker, were talking on BetUS TV. Oregon State has not only covered at home against Oregon, but they've won the game outright the last 2 times, 3 of the last 4 meetings. I know it's a new coaching staff for Oregon State, but can you help me on why Oregon is laying 16 here? I love this for 3 Dog Thursday for the Beavers of Oregon State.
I mean, I don't know if it's the Jonathan Smith leaving the building factor. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, that's a big number on the road. You know, Oregon has labored both weeks. They could have easily lost both games. And forget about last week against Boise. They could have lost to Idaho 2 weeks ago. They're often, you know, everybody thought Oregon was going to be a top 5 team. It's just looking at the probabilities of it, take the points at home for sure.
They're going to be frothing at Reser Stadium there because they're not going to get many more cracks at Oregon. I don't know that they're going to get to play them again anytime soon, but it was part of the deal here of the departure of the Pac-12 schools that some of them are going to play the rivalry game. So they are playing the rivalry game, and I will take Oregon State.
How about them playing in September and no weather issues probably as opposed to November when it's usually nasty and rainy or snowy? It'll be interesting to see what the weather's like. 12:30
Pacific time, September game. And I mean, the Beavers burned me last week. I had San Diego State. You're going to talk about San Diego State, I think, later on in the program. Maybe not. But I had San Diego State, and Oregon State just smothered them defensively in San Diego and won the game. And now that I contemplate it, that'll be a conference game in the future for the Pac-12 for Oregon State and San Diego State. Give me the Beavers. Give me the Beavers here, plus the 16. That's my first underdog. All right, underdog number 2. Are you going to stay in our state, the state of Florida? What is your second underdog, Jason Powers, for 3 Dog Thursday?
We are staying in the state of Florida, a little South Florida rivalry, and it doesn't involve Miami. It's going to involve FAU and FIU down in Boca and Miami. Are playing on Saturday night down at FAU and Boca. You know, both FAU 0-2, Tom Herman and company. Mike McIntyre for FIU 1-1. They beat Central Michigan convincingly last week, scored 52 in the new Pit Bull Stadium, TJ Rives, down at FIU. Pit Bull sponsored that stadium. So a little confidence
Pit Bull,
there.
the singer, if you're not familiar with him, not just the breed of animal. Keep going, yes.
So to me, this is a neighborhood rivalry. 2 teams that are very similar in talent level, similar recruits. They're right around the corner from each other. There'll be a lot of fans from FIU at FAU, I'm sure, to kind of even out the crowd noise and all that. I just think 5 points. Again, I think this is going to be a close game. Field goal, 3-4 point game, 2 competitive teams, pretty evenly matched. I'll take the road team. Give me FIU, the Panthers, and the 5.
The Panthers. And by the way, Gary had Florida Atlantic FAU opening weekend against Michigan State, and they covered for him. Now they're the favorite, as Jason is saying, against Florida International. So this is Boca Raton against Miami in South Florida here. He will take the FIU Panthers and 5 points. Gets it pushed across the field goal there for 3 Dog Thursday purposes. All right, let's continue rolling here on 3 Dog Thursday. By the way, we need to mention we're sponsored by TicketSmarter, as you see on the screen in the TicketSmarter mobile app. TicketSmarter's outstanding algorithms and secondary market technology make it fast and easy to get the best prices on the secondary market for any of these tickets. If you're trying to go to Alabama, Wisconsin, Oregon State, like we've talked about. We're going to keep talking about some of the other prominent games as well. I mean, Florida's playing Texas A&M in our part of the world. Very tough ticket. Whether you're talking about the Michigan home game, smarting off the loss to Texas last week. I mean, pick one all over the country. TCU is going to be a topic of mine. TCU at home in Fort Worth against UCF. If you're trying to go to any of these games, use TicketSmarter, the TicketSmarter mobile app. And if your tickets are the pricier ones and you're spending $300 or more, you can save $20 with the promo code WCE for Winning Cures Everything. WCE20 takes $20 off any purchase, $300 or more for all of these huge college football games. Notre Dame's at Purdue. That's a tough ticket in West Lafayette. LSU at South Carolina, a tough ticket in Columbia, South Carolina. TicketSmarter mobile app. If you're spending $300 or more, promo code WCE. Use that as many times as you want, unlimited throughout the season. College football, NFL, baseball playoffs, concerts, any of it. Promo code WCE20 to take $20 off an order of $300 or more with TicketSmarter.
Got the Josh Heupel Bowl next week in Norman, Tennessee, and Oklahoma.
How about that?
Be a expensive ticket.
Use it for TicketSmarter for next week, absolutely. And rivalry game, backyard brawl, Pitt and West Virginia for this week. Yep. Same thing. TicketSmarter mobile app. All right, my second underdog is in the ACC. I did contemplate go Tigers go. The Memphis Tigers getting points at Florida State, but something says to me the Seminoles wake up against the Tigers, at least to an extent, and I'm not getting enough there to take Memphis in the game in Tallahassee with Florida State, even though they're 0-2. I, instead of taking the alma mater, will go to Charlottesville, Virginia. Shout out to the Barber brothers, Rondé and Tiki. I will take Virginia, Jason Powers, and take their 3 points at home with Maryland on the BetUS line this afternoon. Did you know, Brother Powers, that the Virginia Cavaliers were an underdog at home 4 times last year, 3-1 under Tony Elliott, including an outright win over Duke? Give me Virginia, which had a 13-point comeback to win their game a week ago over Wake Forest. I know Maryland is good, but this is a night game, home game in Charlottesville. All they got to do is win, baby. The Al Davis, just win, baby. Give me Virginia plus the 3. Quick thought on that one with Maryland Saturday night on the ACC network. Any quick thought there?
Remember Maryland coming off the bad loss last week at home to Michigan State, who's in a rebuild. So kind of an upset loss in College Park there. You know, Loxley's always had a pretty good team, but again, Maryland is a road favorite. I bet if you look at the numbers over the years, Maryland is a road favorite, not very good.
Yep. And again, I'm just honing in on the spot for Virginia. Home game, off an ACC comeback win. Will they be enthused? I think so.
I've actually been to a game at that stadium at Virginia, Charlottesville, way back in the day.
Well, we know this. Speaking of Florida State, the most historic win that Virginia's had in the regular season, probably, I think it's got to be. They were number 1 in the country, though, at one point and won a game at home. But they beat Florida State for Florida State's first ever ACC loss, with the Barber brothers being part of that in 1995. This will not be quite that, but they've got a chance to get off to a 3-0 start, Virginia, by beating Maryland. They're my second underdog on 3 Dog Thursday. Again, if you're seeing us live, thank you. We're on the Winning Cures Everything platform. TJ Rives, Jason Powers of the Powers on Sports podcast. Love Jason's insight. We're in for Gary on his platform because he's hunkering down for Tropical Storm Francine, which will dump some 6 to 8 inches of rain through Mississippi and Tennessee this afternoon and tonight. While we do this live, shout out to everybody in the Mid-South. I still got a lot of friends and relatives in the Mid-South. Everybody be safe there. One more underdog for each of us. For college football purposes, give me a third underdog, Jason Powers.
Going out to the Mountain West, the battle of the state of Colorado. Colorado State and Colorado. Obviously, we saw Colorado get smacked last week in the mouth by Nebraska. Very impressive performance by Rule and Dylan Raiola. Colorado State's 0-2, coming back home. If you remember last year, they played a thriller in Boulder. I think it went down to the last,
double overtime, two overtimes.
Right. That's right. I just think this is a rivalry game. These programs hate each other. Colorado State cannot stand the folks down in Boulder. So 7 points. Again, Colorado has shown me nothing defensively that they can stop anybody. I think you're going to see Colorado State try to run the ball. And again, if you can contain Travis Hunter and not let him kill you, I think Colorado State has a great chance to stay in this game. I'll take the 7 at home with Colorado State. Rivalry game, night game. I think Danielson and Nestler are there, CBS. So I think it'll be a national TV audience. Give me Colorado State plus the 7 at home.
And again, bear in mind here that this is the Rocky Mountain Showdown that Colorado State should have, won the game at the end of regulation last year and did not. Colorado got the game tied, had a chance to win it in the first overtime, and Colorado retied the game and then eventually beat them in double overtime. The offensive line problems are still there for Colorado. Yeah. Now it's a road game. Let's just see what happens here in this matchup with Colorado State, and Jason takes them for underdog number 3. I'm going to stay with a Big 12 team, and this is a Big 12 matchup that we're interested in. TCU and Central Florida UCF Saturday night in Fort Worth. The Froggies off to a 2-0 start. They got the win at Stanford to start the year. UCF has beaten 2 easy teams at home. R.J. Harvey, the running back. They got 2 J's. R.J. Harvey, the running back. KJ Jefferson, the Arkansas transfer at quarterback. I like TCU at home, getting points at home. I've been favoring the home underdogs on 3 Dog Thursday. I like it again here. 3 straight home doggies as I look at it for me. And in fact, you're taking 3 of them as well. We got 6 home underdogs on 3 Dog Thursday this week. TCU with Sonny Dykes, with Hoover at quarterback. I like the spot here for them to win the game, and I will gladly take the 2.5 that's sitting there for 3 Dog Thursday for TCU. The Big 12 appears to be wide open.
Yes.
Utah with the quarterback Cam Rising hurt has been the favorite. Oklahoma State looked vulnerable last week, but for teams like TCU, for Kansas State, for Arizona, I mean, you could make an argument for about 6 or 7 teams that could win the Big 12 championship, right?
You absolutely can, and the sharps will tell you a road favorite at 2.5 is not a good number for the road favorites. A lot of people love to take a lot of sharps will tell you take the home team plus 2.5 as opposed to taking the visitor minus 2.5. Over the summer, I heard a stat. This number was 2.5 the other way over the summer. TCU was a 2.5 point favorite like a month ago, something like that preseason. So this game has flipped 5 points in the last couple of weeks. So I'm with you. I think Sonny Dykes is due for another good win. He's a good coach. They've not looked good early in the year. But again, KJ Jefferson, good running game with Malzahn. But again, Big 12 road games, we think they're easy, but they're not. I don't care who you're playing. I like the pick there, TCU.
And by the way, TCU went to the national title game 2 years ago. They were only a home underdog once. They covered. TCU not very good last year. Home underdog once. They won the game outright. So you've only gotten this situation twice in the past 2 years. I will take it for 3 Dog Thursday, Amon Carter Stadium, Saturday night for the matchup with UCF. That is underdog number 3. Hey, before we get out of here, we did not mention the backyard brawl with West Virginia and Pitt. I had Pitt for 3 Dog Thursday last week. Pitt came back from 21 down to help me out and beat Cincinnati. This game at Pittsburgh. West Virginia fans are already uneasy, unhappy with Neil Brown. What do you make of this? They're favored on the road again. I stayed away from Pitt. A quick thought. We're not taking it, but a quick thought on West Virginia Pitt.
It's kind of like FIU, FAU. They all know each other. They all played high school ball together. A lot of them. It's a toss-up game. I mean, again, we saw West Virginia get smoked by Penn State 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And a huge comeback by Pitt last week. I mean, I saw that score Cincinnati. I was like, this game's over. And all of a sudden, I see West Virginia win the game. Just tricky one. It's a 2-3 point number. I think it's 2.
Correct. 2 or 2.5. Right.
So it's basically a toss-up game.
Pitt with the former SEC transfer Holstein at quarterback came roaring back in the fourth quarter, won the game, last-minute field goal. They're at home. That'll be interesting. Also, LSU, South Carolina, marquee game in Columbia, South Carolina. ESPN will be there with game day. Do you have a quick thought? South Carolina's getting a touchdown. You were not taking the Gamecocks, but a quick thought here on LSU and the Gamecocks?
I think LSU will find a way to win the game with their offense. I think their defense has improved at LSU, the new DC from Missouri. I know South Carolina had a big win last week at Kentucky. I just don't know if they can score enough. I would take Nussmeier at quarterback, a big advantage there at quarterback with Nussmeier, and I think they'll figure out a way to get it done.
Share with them. We worked the ReliaQuest Bowl last year, LSU, Wisconsin. I know it's last year, and I know he's throwing to Brian Thomas for part of the game, who's now in the NFL with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But weren't we impressed with Garrett Nussmeier in that game, replacing Jalen Daniels in the short term? Now he's replacing him for the whole season. But a thought on Nussmeier on the road here?
He's a classic pocket passer. He's not going to be a runner. He's going to be a guy that can, he can pick you apart. He's got a big arm. He's probably a pro prospect. His dad played in the NFL. I think he's a good quarterback, and if they can get some They don't even have to be great on defense at LSU. Just be middle of the pack on defense at LSU, and I think they got a chance to beat some people. And I think it'll be a tough environment in Columbia. They wish this was a night game as opposed to a 12 o'clocker in Columbia, but I think LSU will find a way just enough to get out of there. South Carolina might cover the number, but I think LSU wins the game.
And again, a couple of other numbers. We're not taking these. Notre Dame, off the loss to Northern Illinois, is laying 10 points at Purdue. I know Purdue's not very good. That's interesting.
I got one in the MAC. Toledo at Mississippi State. We know Toledo and the MAC have been giant killers. Bowling Green almost beat Penn State.
Be careful.
Be careful there.
Be careful on
Toledo's
Toledo.
Like 11 and a half, something like that at Mississippi State.
Again, here's what we're on. Jason goes Wisconsin against Alabama, taking the 16 for Three Dog Thursday purposes, as well as FIU Florida International in the rivalry matchup with FAU down in South Florida. He gets 5 at home. All home underdogs this week, kids, for Jason and me. He'll also take Colorado State in the Rocky Mountain Showdown with Colorado. Boy, if they win that game, the party is over for Deion Sanders before Big 12 ever begins, Big 12 play ever begins for this season, their brand new year in the conference. I will take Oregon State. Oregon State against Oregon, getting too many points. Civil War game, a lot of rivalry games for the third weekend of the season, including the backyard brawl, Washington State playing Civil War as well. Give me the Beavers. Too many points at home. They look good defensively last week with San Diego State. So I'll take Oregon State. I'll take Virginia in the night game to win over Maryland. They're getting 2.5 or 3. And I'll take TCU against UCF, Central Florida, Big 12 matchup in Fort Worth. 6 underdogs right here on Three Dog Thursday, all of them home underdogs. Final thought, Jason Powers, before we're gone here on this edition of Three Dog Thursday.
A lot of people think Tulane might be a live dog at Oklahoma this week. I know that's a
Sooners looked terrible last week. Did they snap out of it against Tulane?
This is a week that if you think you're a good team, some of these teams have struggled. The Oregons of the world have struggled. Auburn has struggled. You better start getting it together. It's going to be a long year.
Auburn outright lost to Cal last week. What was that in the early college football season? As well as Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois at home. And it was all set up for them. Jason, thank you on short notice for hanging on Three Dog Thursday as always. Go check out the Powers on Sports podcast. Follow him at JPO Sports. Jason Powers on Sports, JPO Sports. Love the insight, brother. Thank you on Three Dog Thursday.
From beautiful Apollo Beach, Florida.
I love it. I'm merely TJ Rives. Go Tigers, go from Memphis at Florida State. Thank you to Gary Seegers for the Winning Cures Everything platform, winningcureseverything.com, the YouTube page, etc. That's where we are on Three Dog Thursday. Jason and I had a blast hanging here. If you're only hearing us on the podcast, come find the video show, Winning Cures Everything, the Winning Cures Everything YouTube page. For now, we're good with the underdogs. Woof, woof.